Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Well, Sweep has been described as the Tinder for car purchasing, and one of its co-founders, Shane Ennis, joins me now to tell us about why it is now ready to hit top gear. Shane, before we lift the bonnet on this business, I'd like to get an insight into your own background.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been working all of my professional career in technology, having studied a related degree at Dublin City University. I spent 6 years working with eBay and then co-founded my first startup, Noah, which is an audio journalism platform where consumers can listen to human-narrated articles from the likes of the Financial Times, the New York Times, the Irish Times, and about 15 other Tier 1 global publications. So that was my first dip into the technology entrepreneurial scene roughly about 5 years ago. And then the idea for Sweep came about roughly about 3 years ago.
So what was the idea for Sweep, and how did you identify a niche in the market for it?
I guess like most ideas, you kind of have first-hand experience of a pain point. Probably, 3.5 years ago, I was in the market to change my car, and naturally, the first port of call these days is to check out what apps and websites are in the marketplace. What I found in that process was it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of research, it takes a lot of work to try and find, what is a significant purchase. And amongst the tens and tens of thousands of vehicles that are for sale in the Irish market at any one time, I found the process a little bit too laboursome, that technology was not maybe leveraged to its full extent. And, at the same time, obviously being close to technology every day, you kind of spot these new user trends. And it was interesting that what you could do on a mobile device and sort of this means of swiping to shortlist, it made the experience a little bit more fun, a little bit more casual, which is, as people start off in their car buying journey, it's often on the couch in the evening time, just casually having a look around. So this idea for, okay, could you take what's been successful maybe in the dating industry and apply it to other markets where you've got a lot of inventory, and cars kind of made sense.
So how does the Sweep app make the car buying process far more efficient and convenient?
So in its current iteration, it essentially allows consumers who download the app and set up an account to swipe right to shortlist. And you can do this, off the bat, or you can filter down to maybe makes or models or price ranges that you're particularly interested in. So what you're doing is you're swiping right to create a short list of stock that you're interested in, and from there you can get in touch with those respective dealerships. But it's also a big time-saving exercise, because everything that you're swiping left on, you're sort of batting out of the way. And look, if you're not interested in it today, you're not going to be interested in it when you come back tomorrow or in 2 days or next week. And that's what you see with the incumbents, is every time you kind of revisit those sites, you see the same stuff that you weren't interested in previously over and over again. So what we wanted to do was really clean up the research that consumers need to do, and just get to a point where they've started with potentially 30,000 options around the country for their next ideal car, and our objective is to whittle that down to a few, and then for you to, as a consumer, to engage with the dealerships on the phone, in the in-app chat. If you need to apply for finance, you can do that in-app. If you want to go and visit the dealership, we'll give you a link to Google Maps or Apple Maps, and you can drive there now that things are back open.
Okay, provide us with an insight into the next version, the next generation of Sweep.
Yeah, so, and it's really all about, you start with tens and tens of thousands of options. And as you start to apply filters, the app gets to know what you're interested in. They know the price range, the makes and models that you're interested in. Perhaps you're interested in a Volkswagen Golf for under €15,000 and you want it to be less than 5 or 6 years old with low mileage. We can do a really good job of recommending, all of the relevant Golfs based on that information, but we can also maybe introduce you to some other makes and models that you weren't considering before. So in that case, maybe we'll start suggesting the Seat Leon or something in that small, sporty hatchback brackets. So, on the front side then for consumers, what they're seeing is a home screen that's not too dissimilar to maybe a Spotify or a Netflix or an Amazon layout, whereby we're telling you, we know that you've got an interest in this broad area of vehicle. Here's some particular vehicles, some new makes and models that maybe you weren't previously considering, and check these out. And, that's good for consumers ultimately landing on the right decision. It's good for dealerships as well, because they're getting, really satisfied customers. We're connecting them with dealerships consumers with dealerships who maybe they previously weren't thinking about a particular brand or model.
And Shane, I'm very interested to hear what level of support is behind Sweep.
It's really strong. So right now in the app, we've got about 550 dealerships across the 26 counties on the platform, with about 30,000 vehicles. Dealerships, their core objective is to sell cars and to connect with consumers. And what we're doing is bringing them new and inventive ways to connect with dealerships. We introduced a product last month called Prospects, which essentially allows dealerships to reach out to consumers who have shortlisted their stock to offer a helping hand. You've taken the action to shortlist this vehicle. If there's any further questions, then we allow dealerships to sort of offer that helping hand. No different than if you and I walked into a forecourt and a salesperson came out to offer us a hand. We've kind of, with technology, it's kind of introduced a faceless element to the car buying experience, but conversely, we're working on products that actually flip it, back into the dealer's hands as well. So the dealership has been strong. Support has been strong. They recognise that, we're a pretty creative bunch, inventive bunch, and we're looking forward to working with them long into the future to build these new products and solutions.
Now, we've already discussed the fact that you've modelled the app on Tinder. So on that basis, are you also targeting the same demographics?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, what's interesting about the dating app scene at the moment is that it's not just young single people who use these. It's definitely breaching into the older demographics as well. And we see something quite similar. I mean, for sure, we're very popular amongst the 18 to 35 bracket. But beyond that, we've got people in their 40s, 50s, 60s using the platform.
And in terms of your marketing strategy, what is your access route into that particular consumer market?
So we would do a lot of marketing on platforms that we know our ideal consumer base are on. So, using the likes of Facebook, Instagram, Google, TikTok recently has been a major success for us, obviously a budding platform amongst a younger cohort. So we're incredibly analytical with our marketing spend, with our marketing strategy, making sure that, we invest in the right spaces and the relevant spaces and, spaces that we can show off the platforms.
We mentioned the support that you're getting from car dealerships across the 26 counties, but is there also an option on the app for the private car seller to advertise their car on Sweep?
There is, yeah. Private sellers can upload their vehicles. As simple as just putting in your reg, uploading a few photos, setting your price, setting your mileage, and adding in some additional information about the cars.
And Shane, what's your plan to bring Sweep into the international market?
Yeah, so we're examining many markets. Of course, English-speaking markets usually make the most sense in terms of easier access. So, our plan over the next number of months is that as soon as version 2 of our app launches this summer, that obviously, the success will be measured of that, and then it gives us the opportunity to take something truly different into other English-speaking markets. Of course, the UK is probably the most convenient. It's a highly competitive landscape there as well. So we're cautious of that. So, I mean, it's highly likely you'll see us going into some parts of the US soon, and also Canada as well. So lots of options, but the first objective is to nail version 2 in the Irish market and then take it abroad. And
of course, look, we've spoken a lot this morning about cars, but what about commercial vehicles and motorcycles, the rest of that motor trade market?
Yeah, that's interesting. Recently, we've been speaking with many outside of, I guess, the core passenger car market. So you're going to see a heavier presence of commercial vehicles, certainly light commercial vehicles, in the coming months. We've been speaking to some motorcycle dealerships as well recently, wheelchair accessible dealerships. There's some bespoke dealerships out there. So, we've spent the past 18 months since we launched primarily in the passenger car space. But there's certainly more aspects of the market that we want to get onto the platform, because when you use the app, you'll see it's for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're searching for a small Fiat 500 or a larger van or motorcycle. It works for all of that. So yeah, expect to see different vehicle types come online soon.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Shane Ennis from Sweep, and I wish Shane and his team every success in achieving growth in both the Irish and international markets.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast.